Good evening. You get a chance to listen to the best of Rosemary's World of Cannabis on 710 Radio. Enjoy. Good afternoon and welcome to Rosemary's World of Cannabis on 710 Radio. I do apologize. I'm running just exactly 1 minute late, but sit back, relax, make sure you got your pens, vapes, and dabs ready because you definitely don't want to miss this. Yes, we are talking, like I said in the notes before, I told you I was going to be talking to the police. I'm not playing. I got them on the line right now, but we got to go ahead. We got to go ahead and get our public service announcement out the way. Once we get that and come back, we got to do too. So sit back, relax, and when we come back, we're going to go ahead and talk to Gerald. I'm not going to try to pronounce that last name because y'all know by me being Southern, I'm going to mess it all up. You in tune, wrong time of day. Rosemary's World of Cannabis on 710 Radio.
Hi, my name is Ricky Williams.
My name is Evan Britton.
My name is Mark Costelli.
My name is Boo Williams.
My name is Jim McMahon.
My name is Chris Cluey.
My name is Kyle Turley. I played in one of the major North American football leagues.
I have 2 championship rings from that big game we play at the end of the season.
In college, I won a trophy that looks like this.
I was a punter for 8 seasons, and punters are football players too.
I also wrote the name of the commissioner on my headband, and everyone lost their shit.
The men who play American football are subject to a life of injury,
pain,
and disease,
both during and long after their careers are over.
And that's why I smoke pot.
That's why I smoke cannabis.
That's why I smoke weed. That's why I smoked weed when I played.
It has, without a doubt, reduced the amount of pain I live with.
It's my body. I know.
But for some reason, the major North American non-Canadian football league refuses to allow players to use cannabis.
Instead of allowing for safe, natural healing,
the sport pushes players towards addictive narcotic painkillers with serious side effects.
So let's get real, Roger.
Football players should be allowed to use medicinal marijuana
without the stigma of it being a banned substance.
Cannabis isn't a drug.
It is a medicine.
And we back, y'all. Y'all know I like to talk to everybody before I bring them on the air. And caller, let everybody know who you are and where you calling from. Are you there?
Yes, ma'am, I am. Jerry Kazmarek calling you from New Orleans, Louisiana, retired police officer, now cannabis activist. And I'll tell you a story of how cannabis saved 2 lives and opioids took a family, unfortunately. So you let me know when you're ready for the madness. Strap yourself in, and I'll take it away.
Wow. I told y'all I was going to be talking to the police. Y'all thought I was playing. But yeah, I'm going to tell you, Gerald, I caught your story and everything that you sent me, and wow. That's why I said I want you to have the floor because ain't no questions I could ask you at this point that you haven't already covered. So the stage is yours, sir. Anytime you want me to interact, I know when to jump right on in. Mr. Gerald, please, by all means, I want to thank you first and foremost for you doing this for us. Because the thing is this, you being a former police officer turned activist sparked my attention. You have my respect and love, sir, first and foremost.
Thank you so much, Madonna. I appreciate you having me on the show. It means the world to me. I really do. I'm trying to get my message out as much as possible. I mean, first off, as we all know by now, the war on drugs is the biggest hoax ever perpetuated on society. However, let me go ahead and start. I grew up all throughout the city as a New Orleanian. And I grew up low income, single mother, but the one thing that we had back then was community, which unfortunately has been broken apart by the war on drugs. So as I was growing up, I mean, back then it was the idea that, we always had hope no matter what it might be, that we could actually turn around and elevate ourselves from one step of the ladder up to the next, and then graduated from high school, met my wife in the summer of 1990, got married August 22nd of 1992, joined the police department June 6th of 94, and unfortunately by October 2001, I was involved in multiple fights. I was involved in a head-on collision and a police cruiser, which subsequently ended my career. And, I went ahead and I asked the doctor, I said, is there anything I can do? And he said, no, you just don't have the strength in your shoulder no more, because I actually had to get my scapula realigned.
Ooh.
My rotator cuff was completely torn. The tendon to my bicep had to be reattached. And, just like anybody else, I turned around and I thought to myself, well, I went ahead, the doctor prescribed me 10 milligrams of Taliesin, started taking that, and then the pain was so excruciating that I turned around and I was drinking on top of that.
Oh, my God.
I try to alleviate the pain, and then unfortunately, as we know, August 29, 2005, Katrina went ahead and hit, and this is when everything changed completely. By August 2007, not knowing what the future is going to have in front of us, as we know, my wife and I and our son actually relocated to Colorado Springs in the summer of 2007. I went ahead, I met with a doctor out there, and the same doctor who prescribed OxyContin to me was the same one who actually got me off of the pills to kill, because I had choice. And that is really the key thing in this whole thing when it comes to cannabis, in my opinion. It's all about freedom of choice. So I started taking OxyContin twice a day, 20 milligrams in the morning, 1 in the evening. I was taking 4 7.5% in between. So I was a completely full addict. I mean, it was just out of control, completely out of control. So as time went on, and I was getting cortisone shots in my shoulder, and I went to the doctor and I asked him, I said, Doc, is there anything more that you could do, as in maybe, increase in my dosage? And he says, I'm not going to increase your dosage. The only thing that you can do from here on out is you need to have shoulder surgery. Well, I was reluctant, and I decided, well, you know what? I've got to do it. I mean, I just can't keep turning around and keep taking these cortisone shots in my shoulder. And like I said, I was a full-blown addict completely.
Yeah.
And then I turned around, I had my shoulder surgery, got everything repaired, and it was about 14 months post-surgery, and I went back to the doctor, and I asked the doctor, I said, I thought it was going to keep me on the pills. And he looked me dead in the eye, and he goes, you know what, there's no reason for you to turn around and to be on the pills no more. I'm going to start weaning you off. And I said, well, Doc, what about cannabis? He said, right now, I'm weaning you off the pills, and that's it. He said, you've got that choice. If you want, you have that choice. Try cannabis. And that's exactly what I did. I turned around, I went into Maggie's Farm, which is 5 miles southwest of Colorado Springs.
Yeah, I know where that's at.
And you know where it is?
I lived in Colorado for a year, in Denver.
Oh, okay. So you're familiar with the outline, more or less, the
Yes.
geographical area.
Yes.
So I turned around and I went to Maggie's Farm, and I spoke to a bud tender, and I told him what was going on, and he said, I tell you what, why don't you try, here's ABC, some sativa, look at that as the Dayquil, okay? I mean, it'll give you up, it'll lift you up, everything else. And then the next thing you know, I turned around and I got into a regimen where I started hiking every day. And in the evening for the withdrawals, and even in the daytime, I started using my indica, which is great for pain, as we know. And once I got into a regimen, I went from 13 pills a day down to 3. I got off all the pills that kill. However, here was the only problem. By September 7th, I was given divorce papers, and June 7th was the last time that I've seen my son, June 7th of 2016. And that's what opioids do. And that's why I'm trying to get the message out as much as possible, because, we're talking about these pills are just destroying families. Unfortunately, people actually turn around and they hop on over to heroin. They start shooting up or whatever it may be. And then, I mean, we see we're losing 175 people a day, unfortunately. I mean, it's sad. When I had a choice, like others in the legal states, to get off the pills. However, now it's gotten to the point where, you know, I turn around and I come back to my hometown of New Orleans, and after my divorce, because I got back here probably right before Mardi Gras of last year, and I mean, I got to be honest with you. I mean, the stuff that I was able to walk into a nice, clean facility, purchase what I needed to where I could get off the pills, is a complete opposite of the coin when you're talking about Louisiana, where people here, I'll give you a prime example, it's Faith Vincent Winslow. Is doing life in prison for a $20 bag of weed. I mean, it's ridiculous.
That is so sad.
Well, it is. It really is. And, you know, so I actually went to the Criminal Justice Reform Committee on March 16th. And, you know, unfortunately, as we know, Miss Rosemary, I mean, the one thing, in my opinion, that killed policing, militarized the police, and a lot of people don't know this, and you actually look into the policies that have been going on in the last 25 plus years, is the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, signed on September 13th, 1994, which was originated by Joe Biden, our former vice president.
Correct.
And they called it the Clinton Crime Bill, and what happened is they turned around and they started fueling all of these privatized prisons all throughout the country. However, and you don't think this is by coincidence, 48% of your prisons are actually built in the South.
Exactly.
You know, and so I went to the Criminal Justice Reform Committee. I was listening to the testimony, and I got to be honest with you. I mean, I thought to myself, I said, you know what? This is modern day slavery. I mean, a guy doing life in prison for stealing a $5 pair of tennis shoes. Give me a break.
Yep. You hit the nail dead on the head, and I've been saying it just that long. The same thing you're saying right now. It is modernized slavery. But, I mean, by you speaking out, you've seen both sides of the coin as of now. And by the way, I know how you feel about dealing with cannabis as of now, as living in Colorado for that 1 year and coming back. I got my medical card there in Colorado. So, yeah, coming back to South Carolina, yeah, you can understand. Me and you both understand that point. You go, it's like going back to the dark side. So I mean, it's rough.
Well, I mean, it is. I mean, if anything, and I'll be honest with you, I mean, it was something that I couldn't turn around and actually put my finger on it. But when I got back, Miss Rosemary, I got to be honest with you, and you know exactly what I mean. I felt like I was 50 years behind time.
Yeah, we're about, I'll say more like in both areas, locations that we're at right now, with me and you both, you being in New Orleans and me being in South Carolina, you about right. You about right on point. And the sad thing about it is this. It's two articles that I want to bring your attention to and want your opinion on. The first one, and I don't care what you're Republican, Democrat, whatever, that doesn't make a bit of difference to me. But what I'm going to say is our 45th president now is wanting to give the death penalty to drug dealers. Code word using under heroin, opioids, and stuff like that. Now, am I right to think, is that a code word or not?
No, I mean, if anything, I think it's like anything else that's going on, and let's go back, and then we'll actually turn around and answer that, but we'll correlate it into, let's say, the mid-1990s.
Okay.
Okay, when crack cocaine actually turned around and started decimating black and brown communities, and you know what? When it was one particular demographic, guess what? Nobody was up in arms. So let's turn around and go now to the present, okay? And it is what it is. But it's like I tell a lot of people, is that so now all of a sudden it's hitting not only the cities, suburban, rural. However, what do? Nothing. They keep putting a Band-Aid on the bullet wound because it's gotten to the point where if you have no money, and I'm with you, this Republican-Democrat thing, I mean, is the biggest hoax because it's all about money.
Exactly.
And you know what? And Trump ain't doing nothing, and then not only that, too. But, so we're talking about stuff that they actually do in China. However, here's the thing that gets me, the hypocrisy of this country. Where's a lot of the fentanyl coming from? China.
Right.
And China actually has a lot of our debt.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's also like with the situation going on, and I don't mean to get off the beaten track.
No, please go ahead by all means. You know how I said this is this is like a coffee table, a kitchen table conversation here.
Oh, darling, I love it. So here's another thing, is that, yes. I was watching an interview just recently, and they were talking about how, and it's the truth, why is it, unfortunately, a lot of these school shootings and everything, it doesn't shock me, because we export death all over the world. And we live in a culture of death, a culture of violence, consumerism, celebrity, hedonism. And so wait a minute, it's okay if we turn around and we go all over the world and blow everybody up and, throw dictators out, even though we prop them up and we put them in there. But, we turn around so all of a sudden, but here's my point. So we turned around and we've done a $100 billion arms deal with Saudi Arabia, with the last president, and then now all of a sudden, because those weapons are being funneled from Saudi Arabia, let's say to, the quote-unquote enemy, who in return shoots back at our troops and kills them and maims them and everything else, and then he come back home. And this is the thing that really ticks me off. I was thinking about this also, is that you can turn around and smoke a joint or have a mental condition now if you want to turn around and get a waiver to go into the military. However, when you get out, look at the way the military's treated. Oh, no, you can't smoke a joint, blah, blah, blah. We're not going to go ahead and add that to the medical marijuana program, let's say, that may have been passed.
I would give you such a big hug right now for saying that if I was next to you, because you're making me smile. You are so on point. I mean, I preach this. Matter of fact, I'm a veteran myself, and I just went to the VA yesterday. And the exact conversation we're having right now is what I had with my new therapist. So thank you for recognizing that fact. Thank you so much, because as well as you as a former first responder, you understand, and I think more than anybody else besides the military, the police and fire department need the same medication as the rest of us. Because the situation where, and I know this probably getting a little bit off the beaten path right now, but I want to bring it back to a point where people know where I'm saying this, is this. Just like people in the military, once you get through with that mission or that call, you're expected to go back to your normal self and go to the next. If that ain't post-traumatic stress, I don't know what else is. I mean, and y'all seeing that thing day in and day out, 12-hour shifts, sometimes 24-hour shift, worst case scenario. And then you got to go home, unwind, and de-stress with your family.
Well, but I mean, that's just it. You're absolutely correct, and thank you for your service, my dear. I mean, it's just, you know what it is? I mean, it is just, mind-blowing. All of the stuff that's going on today and, the hypocrisy in this country. And, the thing that I keep going back to, like yourself, we're talking about a plant. I keep saying that. A natural plant that's holistic, that can turn around and grow, and we've seen it, and it can bring prosperity to all. And that was the thing, and I'll actually correlate into the next thing. So I couldn't turn around, and after you and I can relate, living in Colorado, and I kept thinking to myself, I said, you know what? What is it? What is the scariest thing, okay, for the powers that be? And if people think that colonialism isn't alive and well throughout the South, they're fooling themselves.
You got that right.
But my point was this, is that you know what Jeff Sessions, in my opinion, is scared to death of? He knows that cannabis will bring change, which will bring equality, which will actually turn around, in my opinion, will really put the true Civil Rights and Voter Registration Act into full effect. And I think...
Amen, brother. Amen.
That's what it's all about. And they're scared to death of change, prosperity, equality, and you know what? It actually goes into what, Tupac, he had on his stomach, Thug Life. I'll give you a prime example. Is that's an acronym which stands for the H you give, little infants, F's everyone. And it gets to the point where if you don't turn around and you don't give a damn about equality for all, which to me correlates into colonialism, which is something, to me, it turns into the 4 Ps. Poverty, poor education, perpetual cycle, prison industrial complex. And what it is, it becomes a hamster wheel of despair because nothing ever gets done because they don't want equality. Let me tell you, the thing that I learned, I got the biggest education by living in Colorado is I saw equality, I saw equal schools.
Yes. Yes.
And I come back here, and I got to be honest with you. I mean, I was thinking to myself, I said, you know what? They don't want it to change here. I really believe that. And that's the scariest thing of all for a lot of these people in power, is that they're scared to death of everybody having the same, And the other thing, too, is as you and I know also, and if people don't believe this statement that I'm getting ready to make, they're not smoking cannabis, they're smoking crack.
Hello.
But you know what? If you think that there's not a two-tier system of justice in this country, you're fooling yourself.
That is
You're
so
fooling
true.
yourself.
That is so true. But the thing that gets me is this, and I want my listeners to understand why y'all can hear it in my voice. The same thing I've been saying for years. Y'all getting it from the police. That a former police officer saying this. And that's what's making me so excited. I mean, he done seen all levels of sides of craziness. With the drug problem, people problem, black-white relationships, the whole 9. I can't thank you enough, man. I mean, seriously. I hope everybody that's listening share this because this needs to be known by everybody. I mean, Gerald, I know we're not going to get in everything today. I already know this for a fact because there's a lot of questions I'm going to want to ask you on a different show. But today, the show is all yours, man. Please continue because I'm smiling so hard right now. I can't say nothing else.
Oh, well, thank you, my darling. I really appreciate it. So, if anything, it's just the idea that sort of answer your question about Trump, about executing drug dealers. I mean, come on. Well, then that tells me right then and there that what you're saying is that we're actually in an authoritarian government. I mean, we're not a democracy. His statement right there is a prime example of everything that's going on today. And then now, well, here, you know what? I got to ask your opinion on something.
Okay.
What about the military parade that he's suggesting?
Ooh, let me tell you something. Besides myself being former military, I am married to a retired first sergeant. And when Trump said what he did about the military parade, I'm going to say exactly what my husband said. What the fuck he means by the parade? He said, do he know about the logistics alone with getting vehicles, personnel, and everything else, and not talking about the billions of dollars that would be spent for one of them. And this is what I said to that also. He's the president of the United States. He could go on any one of the bases around the free world and overseas. And I guarantee you, on one of them bases, somebody having a parade somewhere if he want to see one that bad and be a part of it. But better yet, let me go ahead and wind the clock back one more again. And I'm saying this as a veteran. and saying it married to a retired military personnel. You have the nerve to talk about a parade when you got a piece of paper saying that your feet were so bad that you couldn't join the war? Excuse me? That's a slap in my face and every other veteran before that came before me and go afterwards, sir. And being no disrespect to the office of the President of the United States, that's just how I feel.
Oh, well, but I mean, if anything, you're absolutely correct. I mean, as we know, and thank your husband also for his service, is that, you know, I'm to the point today where, I mean, it is just, you know, the thing that gets me, if you really wanted to go ahead and let the militaries have the military members have their own parade, legalize cannabis.
Exactly. We'll give him a parade that he'll never forget.
Everybody we'll be dancing, second line, and smoking, blazing it up, having a ball. I mean, you name it. You know? And, I mean, come on. You know, I mean, if anything, and I hate to say it, but you know it yourself. And, you know, I spoke to a lot of and you being former military, and, you know, a lot of the military members that I got to meet when I was in Colorado Springs, from Fort Carson and all over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's just got to the point where, you know what, I mean, it is pretty pathetic, but I'm grateful that the veterans were able to relocate and you were able to get your medical marijuana card. But a lot of people don't realize this either. But they've told me, they said a lot of times they'll go to the VA, and if they come up hot on a UA, their benefits get frozen.
That is correct.
And that is why, from a lot of military members that I met who were retired, actually relocated to Colorado for that one reason. And wait a minute, we live in a free country? Give me a break. You know? And we're talking about a plant.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
I'll add some other things on it, kind of like everything that's happened right here with New Orleans. So when I got back, I mean, one of the biggest problems right now, and you know, you and I, we keep it real and tell it like it is, but one of the biggest problems is that when Katrina hit, a racial scab was ripped off of the city, unfortunately.
Oh, yeah. Yes, it was.
And then by 2010, this is what happened, in my opinion, after living in Colorado for 10 years and then coming back here, is that it was around that time when they had that TV show on HBO. I've never watched an episode. I saw little snippets. It was called Treme. And when I got back, I got to be honest with you, and I said, you know what? Boy, they're pushing the city in the wrong way. And the reason why I'm saying that is they're regentrifying the city. And you've got a lot of areas in the city now, and a lot of the people, and you see, I grew up in the upper Ninth Ward.
Mm-hmm.
I was the only white kid who played ball on a team. My nickname was Milk. And I got to be honest with you, when I got back and I went through the Ninth Ward, darling, it's criminal. It's criminal. Because you know what happened? So I had the opportunity to talk to somebody, and I said, so tell me, what do you think about the direction New Orleans is going in? And Guy told me, he said, you know what? We really got crapped on, man. He said, because these people started coming in from all over the country, and this was the worst thing in the world, and I believe a lot of this had to do with me, is because they were projecting this image of New Orleans where you can just go into neighborhoods with the diverse cultures and everything else and start blanketing yourself on people. And what they were doing is gentrification is just a way for upper middle class affluent people to turn around and to push people out.
Yep.
You know what you're doing? You're pissing those people off. And there's actually a power struggle within those cultures. People are trying to turn around and they're trying to be cool as much as possible. But when people start coming in and they're opening up businesses and they're buying houses with cash, and the people who have made those cultures and neighborhoods for the last 6 to 8 generations on, and they're being pushed out. Let me tell you something. Boy, you were really, really playing with fire. And I'm seeing a lot of that stuff today, and it's not good. Because a lot of the people here, they had their wits in. And one of the guys was telling me, I said, so what is your biggest complaint? He said, man, these are some of the rudest bastards who have ever come down here.
Mm-hmm.
He said, we just want to be left alone. We have nothing against anybody that came down here, let's say 5 years post-Katrina. But to start coming into our neighborhoods, and you can't blanket yourself on cultures. And I tell people that all the time. I said, you're going about it the wrong way.
Right.
I said, I grew up in that neighborhood. I was invited into that culture.
Mm-hmm.
And what happened is now you've got the regentrification process, and the areas where people were really left out are now just being pushed out.
Yeah.
And that's creating a lot of racial tension.
Yep, and
it's
that's
a
happening
sad
all through the
situation.
South. That's the sad thing about it, and I'm seeing it. See, I had the pleasure of living in an area called Rock Hill, and it's exactly
Okay.
20 minutes outside of Charlotte, North Carolina. So I get to see it on more than just one state. I'm seeing it in 2 states, and that's happening all across the South. It really is at an alarming rate. And this is the thing that people, I'm glad you brought up that point. Now, say for instance, New Orleans finally decide they're going to go ahead and get medical cannabis, or South or North Carolina get medical cannabis. You're going to see that level escalate, because exactly what you're saying has been going on for the last few years in Colorado. Exact same thing.
Yeah.
Exact same thing, because I talked to a lot of people there that was native to the area, that grew up there, and word for word verbatim, I mean, I'm hearing you say about New Orleans, I see it there. And matter of fact, right now, I can't even afford to go back home to Florida because it is legal there for medical, but I've been priced out of my own hometown of Gainesville right now, so I understand.
Well, but I mean, if anything, and you're right, and that's really created a lot of problems. And it's like I told somebody, I said, you know what's going on here is that within 30 years from now, and in all of the other areas that you've already brought up, is that you're going to see completely different cities now.
Yep.
You know, and the culture is being, I mean, literally, I mean, just being, it's like a tree being chopped away little by little by little, each branch, and then eventually you cut away the root, and then guess what happens? It's like I told somebody, I said, I really believe, and I hate to put it like this, I said, but you know what? New Orleans is invisibly burning by way of regentrification because people can't afford to live here no more. I mean, the rents here have tripled.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. I mean, at one time, you could actually get an apartment, let's say, for like $500 a month here, pre-Katrina.
Uh-huh.
Those same rents now are $1,500 a month.
Wow. That's really expensive for that part of the country.
Oh, exactly. Exactly. And then, you know, I mean, hey, we're going to keep it real, but here's the other thing, too. Let's talk about the monument situation.
Right.
So, the racial scab was ripped off for Katrina. Then the monuments, they went ahead. They came down, and that was really the straw that broke the camel's back. And you know what? A lot of the natives who lived in New Orleans could care less. This was actually done for all of these people moving in from all parts of the country. This is something that they wanted.
Mm-hmm.
And when you turn around and you see what I'm saying, when you start doing things in order to appease others and you're not appeasing the people who have made the city, and then what you do is you turn around and you pit one against the other, it's a divide and conquer mentality of what's going on today in news media and everything else. It's a sad situation. You know, but here's the thing that gets me, and this is the thing that really ticked me off, and the reason why I brought up the monuments,
Mm-hmm.
is wait, so we're worried about objects, however, what about the areas, let's say, because there's a huge difference between integration and segregation. Malcolm X said this.
Right.
He said, people want to be separated. And I thought to myself, I said, you know what, so you turned around, you did certain things, The people are moving to the city to appease them, who are separated. However, those people are invading neighborhoods and cultures. But you know what? You can't turn around and provide first-class schools, first-class parks and recreation. It's all about money.
Right.
It's about showing people, oh, look what we're trying to do. We're going to go ahead and we're going to take down some objects. And you know what? But there's only one problem. Objects don't create equality. People do.
Exactly.
People. And the thing that got me is I was thinking to myself, you know, because they allocated $2.2 million in order to take down the statues. And I'm thinking to myself, you know what could have been done in the low-income neighborhoods for the kids, taking them on field trips and doing things with them, or upgrading the parks and recreation and this and that. You see what I'm saying? It just gets me sick because I'm thinking to myself, you know what? Man, I'm more worried about the living, man. I'm more worried about all kids having the same thing that my son got in Colorado Springs.
Right.
Equality. Equality. You know? But I really believe that, you know, like we already touched on it, is that this was all by design.
Mm-hmm.
Why would you not want to turn around and keep people pitted against each other? Because that's just distractions. Because then they can turn around and do what they want, and the schools never get better.
Right.
You know, they stay the same. And you know what happens? We just stay under colonialism for the rest of our lives. And you know what happens? Everybody suffers. Everybody.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But it's just, you know, it's like I tell a lot of people, I said, you know what? I got the biggest eye-opener, darling, because when I came back to New Orleans after being away for a decade, and I came back here, I got to be honest with you, I don't know what in the hell they did. I mean, if you came here and you saw the roads, the bridges, the infrastructure, and here's the other thing, too, which is actually a detriment to everybody, is that if you don't have an educated workforce to work on those roads, those bridges, to have skilled workers, I mean, you don't have an educated workforce here.
Exactly.
Like I was saying.
Well, let me ask you this for a second. Since you did grow up in Louisiana, and I don't know how that works there as far as the school structure. Didn't at one point y'all used to have trade schools that they used to send people to?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
Didn't y'all used to have like trade schools? You know, like if you went to like a Votech possibly, you know, in your last 2 years of high school, perhaps to get a trade, they don't have those anymore, for example?
Oh, well, I mean, if anything, yeah, at one time, I mean, there was a way to turn around and actually go to a Votech, a trade school, stuff like that. But here's another thing, too, that a lot of people don't realize either. That will blow your mind, and it just goes to show you how bad the corruption is here.
Mm-hmm.
But do you know the federal government actually turned around and gave the state of Louisiana close to $3 billion for trade and Votech schools? And from what I gather, or what I've heard, that money's gone. It's missing.
What?
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like even August 6th or 5th of last year, the city was given a ton of money from the federal government, our tax dollars, yours too, to fix the sewage and water board, the turbines and all of that, to make sure that we've got an adequate pumping stations.
Right.
You know that the city flooded out because half the turbines weren't even working?
Yeah, I talked about that that on the show and how disgraceful that was, and where were the Corps of Engineers, because that's what they, you know, the U.S. government is supposed to be looking into it. That was a Corps of Engineers situation there.
Well, exactly. It's like I tell a lot of people also, and this is the thing, as we know, the two-tier system of justice is that, you know, and this will sum it all up. Katrina, BP oil spill, the banking collapse. I mean, they've just fled Michigan, the water crisis, poisoning people. Nobody goes to jail. Nobody. But if it was you or I who didn't have any money to retain an attorney, you know where our asses are going.
Exactly. Like, this is the thing I want to know. Who's going to answer for Puerto Rico?
That is an excellent question, and you know what? That Puerto Rico, unfortunately, has become the new Katrina, unfortunately, but worse, I think.
Yes.
But, you know, well, I mean, who's going to answer that? You're absolutely correct.
I want to know who's going to go to jail behind that one, because when they brought that one company in with those outlandish rates per hour, I screamed to the top of my lungs, scam!
I know. I mean, it's sickening. The whole thing is sickening, and I really and truly believe, and that's the reason why, and it's like I tell everybody, and you and I both know, is that when the colonialized penal system was turned into a business, that was it. There is no such thing as equal justice no more. You know, and I really believe also, another thing that I'm sure you know about, is that when the Clinton crime bill was passed, the mandatory minimum, 3 strikes, you're out.
Exactly.
Well, if you have money, the 3 strikes has nothing, and it don't matter, no matter what. But the bottom line is that, you know what, if you can't afford an attorney, your assets are going right to the jailhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I'm gonna give you. I'm gonna tell you how well I know about it. Is the public public defenders, what they call defenders, but they're pretenders. Is this what they fail to realize? Is this they give them they damn about you? They trying to do the least work as possible because they got 15 others that look like you. They ain't caring. They gonna plead you out, and if they can't plead you out on that deal, guess what? You gonna look at time. And you better be hoping and praying you the lucky number that gets. One person have anywhere, depending on where you living at, has anywhere, and it's probably worse than this. This information is probably about a couple years old. They got 100 to 150 cases, depending on location, that one person's trying to deal with. On top of that, he know he ain't gonna get paid because the person don't have the money. So yeah, it's a hamster wheel.
Well, I mean, it really is, and you know what, too? I mean, you know, the bottom line is that, unfortunately, the way things are today, we live in a corrupt and lawless society.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's a trickle-down effect to a lot of the youth, because a lot of the youth today, they turn around and they see a lot of this stuff going on, and you know what? They think it's the norm. I mean, think about it. At one time, if you were in an elected position, and you could say that you were a representative of Congress, a senator, whatever it may be, that was a prestigious thing. Now,
Exactly.
it's a laugher.
Man, it's disgusting. Because you got to think about the scandals we had to worry about back in me and your day was like somebody getting drunk somewhere embarrassing the country. Now that's like child's play. But what I'm going to do is bring you into the second question I had for you. Just recently, the judge went ahead and overturned that lawsuit against Governor Sessions. How do you feel about that?
I myself, I mean, you know what? I really believe, as always, and hey, I don't know, money. I mean, I'll give you a prime example, okay?
All right.
Is that January 21st, 2010, money, the FCC versus Citizens United. When the Supreme Court affirmed that a corporation is the same as an individual, and they started pumping all of this money into these super PACs and everything else, my point is this: if you think people can't be bought, you're fooling yourself. I might be stretching it.
Yep.
I might be stretching it, but you know what? Everything that goes on today, Miss Rosemary, it's like I told somebody, and I know you feel the same way. I said, you know what? You can't shock me. You cannot shock me. No matter what it is, bring it on. And you won't shock me because, as we know, how is it the House, this will turn around and answer everything more or less, is that the House and Senate combined net worth, $14 billion. How can you? Yeah.
How?
How can? Exactly.
Okay, because I'm going to break that down for somebody real quick that understand why he said that. Okay, if you go on any website and pull up your legislation and senators and representatives of the House and Senate and see what their annual salary is, then you will understand why we asked that question.
Yeah. Well, here's a top example. Darrell Issa, he's actually getting ready to go ahead and retire.
Mm-hmm.
He's a representative from California. He's worth close to $750 million.
And you said billion with a B. You said billions with a B. That's what gets it.
Yeah.
I know the United States of America's not paying that type of money to him. I know that.
Well, but I mean, as we know, it's all tied in. The banking industrial complex,
right.
The pharmaceutical industrial complex, prison. I mean, just going down the line, what does it all correlate into one thing? It's one big wheel. Money.
Mm-hmm.
Money. And you know what, too? I mean, talking about the judge, Alvin K. Hillestein, who was actually the judge with the lawsuit that just came on out and said, you know, he dismissed it against Sessions.
That's correct.
Is that, you know what? I mean, who knows what happened, but I know he was involved in the first responder lawsuit after 9/11. He was also involved in the lawsuit, I think, involving the two towers. And, you know, he's been involved with some high-profile cases. However, you know what I think he's doing? I think he's just passing on the buck because now it's going to go on to the Supreme Court.
Yes.
You know? And you know what? The Supreme Court is really going to determine the whole thing, but I thought that all along. I said, you know what? There's no doubt in my mind. I had no idea what he was going to do, obviously, but I said, you know what? This case will go all the way up to the Supreme Court, and you know what I think's going to happen? I think, in my opinion, and remember this is something to think about, is that right before Obama got reelected, they went into Pakistan, Islamabad. Supposedly they got bin Laden. They never showed any pictures. Whoop, bam, boom. Guess who we caught? Killed, blah, blah, blah. Oh, we dumped his body out in the ocean. Well, guess who got reelected just on that? I think that somehow they'll expedite the situation with cannabis going through the Supreme Court. And how much you want to bet Trump's going to turn around? I think that they'll take it off the Schedule 1 list and put it on the Schedule 2, or they should just take it off altogether, as we know.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that Trump will turn around and somehow take credit for that. And you watch. You watch.
You know what? You're probably right, because the theory is very, very sound. Because he needs a win. Let me tell you something about Trump. Me and you both know. Trump ain't got no wins right now. And he desperately needs a win.
Yeah.
Desperately needs a win. And you know, him and Jeffrey Sessions been bumping heads. Because regardless of what goes on, Trump's still making money each and every day he's in office. He say he ain't, but me and you both know that's a damn lie. Sessions, as each state goes medical or rec or both, and putting legislation that's taking these people off the felon list and taking these marks off them for having cannabis, using cannabis, selling cannabis, whatever the case may be, guess who's losing money?
Exactly.
And that, believe it or not, nobody don't want to admit that, but I strongly feel that's part of the fight. And at the end of the day, when it's all said and done, I believe your theory is very sound, sir.
No, I think you're right. And I think really, you know what, too? with this same group of old dinosaurs walking around, and as we know, a lot of you power elite know that they've got the right puppets in line. Okay, they're all controlled. Okay, because in my opinion, we're in an oligarchy now. I mean, we really are. It was actually an article that came out in the Princeton Review. I didn't get a chance to read it. I'm going to have to check it out. It's 18 pages long, and they reached a conclusion anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Is that, you know what, we're in an oligarchy now. The super rich that run everything. They control the puppets in Congress to let, they write laws.
Yep.
For the super rich,
If that tax cut wasn't proof of it, I don't know what is.
Well, I mean, that's just it. Here's another thing also. But when you got 400 individuals, Rosemary, that have the same amount of wealth as 154 million people, that tells you right there. 400 people have the same as close to half the country. I mean, come on.
Yep.
And, the bottom line is, it's like I tell everybody, you know what, prohibition is dead. It's a done issue, and then like you were saying, but Sessions, for some reason, but we all know why, he's scared to death to see equality. He's scared of change, which would get out of neocolonialism and would get this country. I think if cannabis was legalized, in my opinion, you'll see the rebirth of the new America. You watch. It'll be something like you'll be so proud and happy that, because everybody will start making money again. And
exactly.
People are hurting today.
Exactly. Because think about it, not only would cannabis free the way, hemp would also come back to its final glory, because hemp had a history way back in the 1930s. If they wouldn't have kept Henry Ford quiet, we'd be way more modernized than what we are right now.
Oh, absolutely. Well, but like you were saying, as we know, 10,000 acres of hemp could actually save 40,000 acres of forestry. And you're also talking about how it only takes about 4 or 5 months to fully grow. And, as it's harvested and you're pulling it up, more seeds keep dropping. So what it is that it's just constantly growing. And you're right, we would be more modernized today the way we should be. And then the other thing, too, 2 of our founding fathers were actually hemp farmers, Thomas Jefferson and George Washington. How do you think they would look at the country today? They'd be shaking their head going, what in the hell is going on here? Oh, wait, I forgot. That's everything's run by money today, I see. Oh, okay, the people don't, people really don't matter anymore, it's all over money.
Yep.
Unfortunately. It's all over the second buck.
Sad but true.
It's sickening, darling. It really is. It's sad. Because the youth are the ones who are being hurt more than anybody else. And that's the thing that breaks my heart, like yourself,
Yeah. And now we got to fight. This is the thing. The stuff that we enjoyed generations ago is not happening. And I think that's why I fight for even more than ever, because since I've been, really into this fight for cannabis, I've learned so much about it. You can, hey, I'm going to be honest with you. I've been using cannabis for over 40 years. But in the last few years, I've used it properly. And what I mean is this. I've had 3 total knee replacements myself. The last one I had was one of last year. Matter of fact, I go back for my year checkup next month. And I've had a documentary that you can look up. It's called Speak Life. And us and several representatives throughout the country was talking about different uses of cannabis. But my point being is this. I'm trying to get a group of people together with me to do the pill count. And I want everybody in the House and Senate to see that. I don't know how I can get together to get that done, but that's my goal for my 56th birthday. Because I want to prove a point. All these people, 176 people that you're talking about dying each day from opiates, I could have been easily one of them. I've been dealing with opioids since 2000. But I chose not to, and I've been living illegally here in South Carolina. And you don't think that doesn't give you post-traumatic stress disorder? Honey, I do these shows every day to keep my sanity and to tell others that we don't have to live this way if we all pull together. I went from state to state to state on my own dime, talking about this same plant. Before it got as popular as it is now, I was going, like I said, on my own dime. Right about now, I don't have it to do anymore because I don't have the money. I'd still be out there doing it right now. And this is my voice, the only way that I do it. And that's why I thank you so much for stepping up, because you know just as well as I do what needs to change. And by you living for Colorado, I couldn't even imagine for a second. I know how I felt coming back after 1 year. But coming back after 10 years of being able to go and process, people don't understand when I say it's a process when you go and be able to go get your cannabis in a clean, safe environment. Yeah, you got a security guard there, but that's for your protection because the banks won't let them transact money because of the laws. So that makes you a little nervous the first couple of times you go in there, but after then, it's a lot safer than what I got to go through now.
Well, but I mean, if anything, as you and I know, unfortunately, we know who controls everything. We know exactly who controls everything.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I really believe also, and, you know, the bottom line is that these rich elites know that once cannabis is legalized, and it will be legalized, and this is one fight that's not going away, okay, because we formed by the people are realizing or have realized that, you know what, it's gotten to the point where this whole thing with the war on drugs and all of that, the whole thing's been a scam. It's been a hoax. The deregulation of banks, that's another thing. You know, nobody on Wall Street went to jail, but you could collapse the economy where 5 million people lost their jobs.
Exactly.
No, 8 million people lost their jobs, 5 million people, 5 million families lost their homes. And you telling me that nobody goes to jail over that? And that's why I think today the police, in my opinion, are getting so much resistance, because people realize the bottom line is that there's not a fair and equal system of justice.
Right.
And these overzealous prosecutors have created so many problems by decimating communities and families and everything else, and instead of being fair with somebody, they're looking to put the screws to them as much as possible for the imperialists.
Exactly.
And that's what it is.
It's exactly. Gerald, you know I'm going to have to bring you back on the show once again, man, because this conversation is not even close to being over. We got less than 3 minutes left and we have to close. But what I want people to do, if they want to get in contact with you or see some of the videos that you have out there, this is your turn to let them know what all they need to do.
Oh, well, darling, I thank you so much. Well, all you got to do is you can hit me up on Facebook. Go to Gerald, Gerald, Kaczmarek, K-A-Z-Cat, Z-Zebra, M-A-R-E-K, and all of my stuff is on there, and I'll be more than happy to message me, talk, whatever it may be. Or you can get in contact with my business associate that you know, and you're my Canna sister also, my daughter, Rosemary, but y'all are both of my adopted sisters now, but you can also get in contact with Ellen Worth Lambert. She's on Facebook, and I'll be more than happy to conversate via private message or whatever it may be, and it was an absolute pleasure, my darling. I appreciate it so much.
Well, thank you so much, Gerald. You know, hey, I got your 6 anytime, man, and like I said, round 2 is coming. We're going to talk about that off air, okay?
Sounds like a winner, and I thank you, my dear.
All right, you have a blessed one.
You too, darling.
All right, bye now.
Bye-bye.
Hey, guys, I'm going to tell you like this here. We're going to run a minute too over the show today, but I'm going to let you know right now. Out of all the shows I did, there's only a few people I really truly... I mean, I've enjoyed everybody. Let me put it like this. Everybody I've ever did a show on, I really enjoyed. But y'all don't know. It is a good feeling to sit down and talk to a former police officer that knows the deal. that truly knows the deal about what's going on. He done seen all angles. And I can't wait to see the book that he probably going to put out, because that's going to be one hell of a book. But once again, I'd like you to thank you for tuning in to Rosemary's World of Cannabis. And I also like to thank you, Rick, for letting me do what I do Tuesdays and Thursdays here on Rosemary's World of Cannabis. If you ain't woke now, I don't know what's up, because even the police now know the truth. I love y'all. I'll see y'all on Thursday. We're out.